All right. Hello, boys, girls, ladies, and gentlemen. It is Mr. G, and we are talking about our artist of the week. This week is the Welsh artist Phlegm. Why would somebody want to call themselves such a name? It's actually from the Greek scientist at one time thought that all of our bodies were, they took everything at face value. So they took the four humors, which were the four actual physical things they could see that came from bodies, which would be blood, yellow bile, which would be like vomit, black bile, which would be, and then snot or phlegm. Okay, so that's what they thought up that people were made of. So that's why he has chosen that name. Um, but he does illustration, comic art, printmaking, and he's best known for his large scale mural and outdoor work that he has done. Okay, so we'll start small here. I've got a lot of content here for you, but we have his Instagram post where he does, most curiously, these tiny little pictures. Okay, and you can see just next to a matchstick how small some of these are and how detailed they are at that size. Um, and he also does lots of printmaking. Printmaking is, here's an old style printmaking press. Has been around for centuries. So he takes a lot of these old styles and utilizes them in his work. Okay. So, and you can see lots of his stuff. You can see his outdoor work, tiny work, big work, comic work, printmaking work, and some of his sculptures as well. There's another one of those old printmaking presses right there. Okay, that one said it was made in 1850. So that may not be very interesting to you, but important piece of technology at one point. Okay, the second site we're showing here from Phlegm's work is a sketchbook site. These are all sketchbooks that this artist has done, and you can go through here, and this is kind of cool where he actually will walk through each of these sketchbooks. And if you guys are in any of the second level or higher art classes with Mr. Reynolds or I, we always stress the importance of sketchbooks and how much they are important to an artist and their ideas. Like any serious artist usually carries around some form of sketchbook with them at all times, just like a poet or a songwriter would write down small notes, in a songbook. Same thing with an artist. You would want to record your ideas as you go. Okay, so some of your best ideas will come pop in your mind, and by the time you try to write it down later, it might be gone. So sketchbooks are very important. So you can see his characters are very whimsical and very elongated. They kind of remind me of Hieronymus Bosch or the Monty Python illustrations, if you're familiar with any of that. But they have a definite style to them. Okay, moving on to our next site is his actual website. And on here, he's basically featuring mostly his large scale outdoor works. Okay, and he has works all around the world. Some of them are small to medium, and some of them are gigantic. Okay, if you file through here, you'll find some pictures where he is working on very large scale works. And if you kind of think on a medium piece like this, I would say that to be a giant piece to me, but to Phlegm, this is like a medium sized piece he would work on. And we'll go up here. That's about a 3 or 4 story factory building he's painting on there. Moving on, got a large piece in Toronto down here somewhere right there. I'm not sure how many stories this building is, but that is him right in there, and that little catwalk up there going up. And if you can imagine, and he doesn't really work with a team, which a lot of artists that do work of this scale have a large team that works with him, and he pretty much works solo for the most part. So there he is there with the guy who is operating the crane, and one of the people that own the building. You can Google this and find out more about this work in Toronto. There is a fire that was across the street. Had featured the picture there, but you can tell some of these are just gigantic works here. Okay. And finally here, I've got this here, this installation piece, and this is in his hometown in England, or I want to get that right. Yes, in his adopted home, Sheffield, England. I believe he's from Wales. But these are giant paper sculptures, and you can see the gentleman sitting right there, of his artworks of these large elongated figures. Okay, and these are large paper sculptures that are all in this huge warehouse, and this was called Mausoleum of Giants. So he does a lot of a variety of large scale community based art. Obviously very prolific, and does a lot of work for it takes a lot of time. Okay, so there's a lot of content for you to look through. So for this week, we are going to ask you to go through either his Instagram page or his website or one of these other sites I've shown you, and pick out a piece that you find interesting, that talks to you, and discuss it. Talk about line work, style. Most of his stuff is all black and white, and why you think it is interesting or not interesting, and maybe about the process. Secondly, we'd like you to think about what factors do you think need to come together for a large scale community project such as this? Okay. How many things have to fall into place for you to paint a giant side of a building? Lastly, speaking of community based art, how does community based art shape and reflect the values of a particular area? Okay. Now try to fully answer these questions as best you can. If you're not sure of the answers, that's okay. Just try your best. And we will see you in class. Have a super duper day.